over. It wasn't just the
Right. Morning wasn't raining.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakel b'dvarim.
Amen.
You can call me soon as you want to call.
Oh wow! No, I made tea.
Unity.
Oh, thank you.
It doesn't want to mix up with Talmudei Chacham.
What was I?
I want to say mitzvah, בא לידך, כך מצווה. מה מצווה?
Black tea doesn't have hummus.
Okay. It's It's a rainy night. Is anyone listening? Anyone's joining us? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you there? Okay, sehr good. Shkach for joining us.
Today,
Oh, you did our comments on Tzeiv today?
Yeah, he did.
Davis. You mute himself.
What?
You did our comments on Tzeiv?
Yeah, but my brother. That's why I had to rush. Okay.
Nazana lichtike Ganeden beim.
I Chuck suffered about 6 years with the chemotherapy there, but they went through.
Okay.
He left one son. He had 3 daughters actually, and one son that said Kaddish. At least he left had a son to say Kaddish.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Parshas Va'eda. And this week is Boy, but I'm going back to something. In the beginning of the Parsha, in Va'eda, the Eibusha talks to Moshe and he tells him about, first he tells him a piece of his mind. That's, the first aliyah. Second aliyah is, Eila Roshe Beis Havosim Bnei Reuven Bnei Shimon Bnei Levi. And then it goes back. Rashi says that the reason is because when after the Eibishter gave Moshe a piece of his mind, Diberite Kosher, so then he told him, I want you to go to Pari. And this is what you should tell him. But before he tells him anything, the Torah wants to step back and to tell you the yichus of Moshe and Aaron, and didn't want to just tell you right away from Levi. So therefore it started Reuven, Shimon, Levi, and it gets to Amram, and when it gets to Amram's children, it gets to details, and then it goes to who Moshe and Aaron, and then Aliyah Shlish is Eibishter. It's like Nachvel Rishon, as Eibishter says. Okay, so let's get back to our conversation. Boy al Paroi, Vamarta Elov, this and this and this, and then there's Makas Dam Tzvadei Kinim Morav Deveshchim Borot Arba V'chul. Okay, which is already this Parsha too. Okay. V'daber Hashem al Moshe Leimer, Boy daber al Pari Melech Mitzrayim v'Shalach L'Bnei Yisrael. Let me answer. V'daber Moshe L'Fnei Hashem Leimer Hem Bnei Yisrael Lo Yishem Olav Echesh Men and Farim Ani Aral Sefasoyim. V'daber Hashem al Moshe V'Larim V'Tzavam Bnei Yisrael V'Parim Melech Mitzrayim Loitzim Bnei Yisrael Meretz Mitzrayim. Now, in a few minutes, the Pasuk is going to get back to Moshe Rabbeinu's complaint and what the Eibishter answers him, what the Eibishter says should tell Pari. But here we take a break, which is Aliyah Sheni. And we say, Eila Shmois. Here, you want to I can pass you here.
Sorry.
Eila Rosh Beis Avosim, Bnei Reuven, B'chai Yisrael. So we have Chanach V'Falachetz and B'chai Mel Moshe B'chai Reuven, Bnei Shimon, Gimel V'Yam V'Yachov V'Tzecha V'Shal Ben Aknas El M'Spo Shimon, V'Yashus Bnei Levi L'Tzel Dosim, Gershon Kosam Rosh Nechai Levi, Shevo Shloishim U'Me'ashona. Rashi explains why we telling us the age of Levi here. Also has to do with understanding how many years the Yidden were Mitzrayim. Now the Torah goes into details within Mishpachas Levi, because we're trying to get to the Yichus of Moshe and Aaron. So we're now zooming in to Mishpachas Levi, and we're saying negation, leaving the Vishimel Mishpachos and Nekos, Amram Yitzer Bechevin Vuzil, Vishnei Chai Kos, Shalosh Shloshim Ashana. Why do we need to know how long Kos lives? Again, to know how long the Inwarm it's time. Nemerori Machle Mushel Mishpachos Levi L'Tel Doisa. V'yikach Amram, as Yercheve Doidos Eloi Isha. Vatayla is Aaron, that's Moshe. Ushnechai Amram, Sheva Shloshim Me'as Shana.
Where's Miriam?
Where's Miriam?
What did it doesn't say?
Oh, good question. From the Sicha, you'll get the answer automatically. The Yitzer,
That she was born before then, before Vayikach Amos Yocheved.
I was born also before. No, she's a daughter of Yocheved and Amram together. Takarashi says that he divorced her,
Right. So
but
then
he divorced
she
her
made him to come back.
Right,
and
true.
Because of her, we have Moshe.
because of Moshe. But Aaron Aaron was already born.
Right.
So Monoshech, or either say only Moshe or say Aaron
And Miriam too.
and Miriam. Yeah. Bnei Yitzhak koirech v'nefek v'zirchiri bnei Uziel mishol b'altzafim v'sisri. V'yikach Aaron es Elisheva b'samenoda b'chos nachshon l'Elisha v'tel es noda v'zavir v'saloza v'sisamar. Bnei koirech aser b'alchon v'aviyosef v'mishpes ha'korchi. Eloza ben Aaron lokach loy mipnei sputir lo Elisha v'tel es Pinchas. Eile roshi avoyis alavim l'mishpachois. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the two psukim where we're going to be in question today. The Torah finishes off with a grand statement. Who Aaron and Moshe? This is the Aaron and Moshe. Asher Omer Hashem Lahem, the Eibusha told him, Etzius b'nei Yisrael Amaretz Mitzrayim al Tzivoisim, take out the Eden from Mitzrayim. Al Tzivoisim, Rashi says, means Bitzivoisim. With every Jew, no Jews left behind, all the Shvatim, Bitzivoisim. Tzivos is the every Shevet, all the Shvatim. Again,
Didn't they call him Tzivos Hashem?
right. Here it's Tzivoisim. Yeah. Hema medabrim apari melech Mitzrayim, loitzim bnei Yisrael Mitzrayim. Who Moshe v'Aaron? Vayibim diber Hashem al Moshe b'eretz Mitzrayim. That's the Aliyah of Sheni, and then we go back. Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe leima nachzel le'shonis. Ani Hashem daber aparach melech Mitzrayim shadei v'elecha. And then he gives them the whole drill of Dam Tzvadei Kinim Or of Derech Shvim Bora Darba Choshech Makas B'Chodesh. Zokt Rashi in the beginning of the Psukim, and Rashi says Dvar Atziva Mau. When it says in the beginning, it says the Eibusha said Al Moshe Val Aaron Vayitzamim El Bnei Yisrael Val Pari Melech Mitzrayim Loitzes Bnei Yisrael Meretz Mitzrayim. What was the Vayitzavim? What was the Tzivui? So it doesn't say yet. Mefurish b'parsha shniya la'achas seder hayachas. Ela mitoich shehizker Moshe v'Aaron, because he already mentioned Moshe v'Aaron. Therefore, hifzik ha'inyan v'eila roshe beis avoisim. Nelamdeinu eich nolad Moshe v'Aaron b'min tiachso.
What the Rashi question was?
Rashi's like doesn't understand what's going on. Like the emphasis without Rashi. And it says Vaydaber Shal Moshe v'Aaron v'Yitzavam b'nei Yisrael. But what did he tell them? What did he tell them? Later, Taka, it says that Eibusha told them to say this and that. There's a whole arichas later. But over here, he starts a sentence, and it doesn't say what Eibusha told him to say. Later, it's going to say that David he complained. Ani al Tzusaim. Eibusha said, "Don't worry. Aaron achichi and neviyecha ata tedaber v'Aaron achichi yedaber al paroi v'ani actress slave paroi."
Actually, the Tzivah doesn't say nothing here.
Nothing here. The whole tzivah comes later. The whole tzivah comes later. So Rashi says the reason for this is why does the whole tzivah come later, not here? Because the Torah wants to give us the yichus of Moshe v'Aaron. Interesting lashon Rashi. Ha'echen noildu u'b'min nitiachsu. Okay, Rashi nu dibra maschil eile roshe beis avoisim.
Interesting, Rashi said, "Ech no the Moshe v'Aaron, not Aaron the Moshe."
Yeah.
Aaron is Moshe.
Yeah, it's a good diuk. Very good diuk. Very good diuk. Eile roshe beis avoisim. Metoch shuhuzkek liyach shifte shalevi ad Moshe v'Aaron b'shvil Moshe v'Aaron. Hischil liyach sem derech toldoisem meriuve.
Then for sure you should say, of course, Aaron and then
Right.
Moshe.
Right? And then Rashi says again, Dibra Maschil, who Aaron and Moshe? Eile shuhuzkuru l'mayla sheyoldi yecheved l'amram. Who Aaron and Moshe shomer Hashem that the Eibusha told him the command. Yesh mekayim says Rashi shemakdem Aaron l'Moshe. The yesh mekayim shemakdem Moshe l'Aaron. Sometimes the Torah writes first Aaron, sometimes first Moshe. Loy malachot to tell you sheshkulim heim that they are equal. Okay, nice. Heim medabrim, Rashi says heim nitztava hey shekim. They got the tziva, they did it. Who Moshe Aaron heim b'shlechusim v'tzidkosim atchila v'atzay. As usual, Rashi, you could say the word so fast it rolls off your tongue. Here the Rebbe has a dozen questions, but before the first question is like a very nitpicking question. I mean, they're all a little nitpicky, but the first one, but it's like a klotz kasha. None of the Mephoshim deal with it because it's better to say that Rashi was a little tired and he wrote a few words like this and then trying to explain. Look in the Medrash, and the Tosefta is the same thing. The Medrash says, "B'chol mokim hu magdim shemayim loretz, u'b'mokim echod hu oimer b'yisa Hashem b'emasais Hashem alakim eretz v'shemayim. Malam b'shneim shkulim zeh kazeh. B'chol mokim hu magdim Torah l'vnei Yoina. Mokim echod oimer ben Yoina Torah. Malam b'shneim shavim zeh kazeh. B'chol mokim hu magdim Moshe l'Aaron. U'b'mokim echod hu oimer hu Aaron Moshe. Malam b'shneim shavim zeh kazeh. Chol mokem magdim Yeshua l'kol mokem echad huayim bilti kol ben Yefuna aknizi v'Yeshua benu malamet shneim shavim zeko zeh. Chol mokem hu magdim kovid av l'kovid aim mokem echad huayim ishim v'yaviv tiro malamet shneim shkulim zeko zeh. Lam chachamim av kodim laim kol mokem neshu v'im chavim b'kovid av v'chol b'chol ad mokem magdim avos avram le'avos kan v'zachartis b'lis Yaakov malamdim sheshloshim shavim zeko zeh. Okay. So wait a minute. Rashi says different than the Medrash.
Right.
The Medrash says when it comes to Moshe and all this, it gives a list of 10 stuff. But we're concerned right now about Moshe v'Yaron, and we'll talk the other ones in a second. It says b'chol mokem hu makdim Moshe l'Aaron u'b'mokem echad
That's the Medrash.
mokem echad oime Aaron and Moshe. So you got it. You got to count up everything in the Torah and see is it Rashi right or the Medrash is right? Rashi says Yesh mekoimos shemagdim Aaron. Yesh mekoimos shemagdim. Yeah, Yesh v'Yesh. That means there's at least 2 of one and 2 of the other, right? The Medrash is not that way. The Medrash says b'chol mokem hu magdim Moshe l'Aaron u'b'mokem echad oimer Aaron and Moshe. So is it a kol mokim and b'mokim echad is an exception, or is it yesh mekoim nasi sefer v'nechzer? Open up the sefer Torah, start counting. You could even have a search in the Bari Lan or the Tzach Chochma or through Google Stam. You could do a search in the Torah. It's very easy. Is it yesh mekoim v'yesh mekoim, or is it yesh mekoim v'yesh mokim echad? Which one is it? It can be both. Rashi's right or the Medrash is right. Okay, this is to go a little dig into this kasha. So let's go through a few of the places that talk in the Torah. But before that, the Rebbe says like this: Rashi, which is the derech hapshat, doesn't like to say b'mokem echad. Why? Because if b'mokem echad you have an exception, is not a raya that sheshneim shkulim. Okay. All these places that the Medrash brings, all these 10, the Rashi doesn't ask any questions. Because we find a lot of times when Rashi says a chidush, he says, Loi matzasi loi chaver. Everyone must have a chaver? Loi matzasi loi chaver. Okay.
Meaning it's exception.
Exception here.
Exception,
I think there's the pshat. I have a problem. Loi matzasi loi chaver. Okay, found the chaver. You didn't find the chaver. Everyone must have a friend? No. In Pshat, I want to see at least twice the same the pattern.
According to Rashi,
If it's b'mokem echad,
when a kid read the Chumash, he remember exactly 100 times before it was Moshe and how many times was Aaron.
but not after, but before.
Yes.
So in Rashi,
you don't learn yet.
you didn't learn yet. So L'mashal Rashi, he doesn't ask all these questions. And by Taka ba'ov aim, he doesn't say malamet sheshkulim. He says, Rashi says that Metzat Kovid is Goli Yidu to the Eibishter, that the child would like to give the mother more Kovid and the father more Yidus. The Eibishter said, no, don't think that way. But that Rashi never says Malamet Sheshkulim. Never said these words Malamet Sheshkulim. Golu Yidua Lifnei the Eibishter Shaben Yoris Aviv Yoiser. So therefore, Bekovid Higdimav, and same thing Fakert, but Rashi. So therefore, Rashi wants to say that there's a pattern. Yesh Mekaymis, v'yesh Mekaymis. There is several places that say Aaron first, and several places Moshe first. If it's one exception, maybe there's a psahezber for that one place. You can't say Malamet Sheshkulim Hein. Like for example, the first one they said, "Ubeyom Asayis Hashem Alakim Eretz v'Shamayim." B'mokim Echad. So Rashi, because by Eretz v'Shamayim it says Asois, which is Asiyah. And Rashi says that Tiknam b'Tzivyonim b'Tiknam b'Kemosam. So in the Oretz, it was more, the idea of Asiyah is more in the Oretz. The things in the sky, Malachim, things are less, they're less Asiyah. Rashi doesn't bother this question. All these 10 questions in Medrash, Rashi never says, Malamet Sheshkulim Hein. Because in Pshat, if there's one exception, maybe there's, therefore Rashi says over here, Yesh Mekaymis, v'yesh Mekaymis. A few times Aaron comes first, and a few times Moshe comes first. The problem is, where is the few times? Show me. Where is the few times? So the Rebbe says, okay, let's look at them. There's a few times in the Torah. It says a few psukim before, it says first Aaron. It said first Aaron. In Parshas Bamidbar it says Eila Toldos Aaron and Moshe, and a third in Parshas Pinchas Vatelad LaAmram as Aaron and Moshe. So 3 times. So we have Mekaymis. So the Medrash is going to tell you nonsense. That those 3 places are talking about who was born first.
Yeah.
If you have to say Vayikach Amram es Yecheved Dasa Loili Shevatelad Loi, S, who was the older son? Aaron. So you have to say Aaron first. The same thing it says in the middle of Eila Toldos Aaron and Moshe. You have to say for example Vatelad LaAmram in Parshas Pinchas it says Vatelad LaAmram is Aaron and Moshe. You have to say who was born first. That's what the Medrash is going to answer. No, and what's Rashi going to say back for that? The Medrash is right. So where did that? So again, we're back to the question. Rashi, in the whole Torah we find that Moshe is first. We don't find Adam first. And the fact a few places when the Bishaz they were born that Adam is Verstetzach is he's older.
The normal.
That's normal. That has to be first. So so the Shaila is Taka. Where did Rashi find that Yesh Mekaymis v'Yesh Mekaymis? Where did he find those Mekaymis? Where did he find those Mekaymis? Okay, that's one big question. And now let's go through. First of all, Rashi says Rashi says like this that they wanted to be Meyacha Shifte Shalevdi. So therefore, they said who is Reuven, who is Shimon, who is Levi, who are the sons, and until we got to Moshe and Aaron. Then Rashi says, I have a problem. Why is that? Once it says Moshe first, and once it says Aaron first. It's in the same Rashi. Mein Shmita, it's Lasina. What's the connection here? Rashi, it's not a separate Rashi. Rashi says in the second Rashi, Eila told us, Eila Rosh Beis Avoisam, Lachzis Shifta Shalebi ad Moshe Aaron, Bishvil Moshe Aaron, Hiskali Achim Der told Oisam Meruven. I'm sorry, next Rashi. Who Aaron the Moshe? Eila Shuskar Olamayla. Sheyoldi Yecheved LaAmram Hu Aaron Moshe Asher Omar Hashem Yesh Mekayim Meshamagdem Aaron v'Yesh Mekayim Meshamagdem Moshe Lo Malach Sheshkulim Ki Echad. What the first line in Rashi and the second is not connected. Like, why couldn't Rashi? It's kilu. It's a hemshech. Now that we know Sheyoldi Yecheved LaAmram, so like Yesh, what's the connection? The things, and what's talking the pshat? Why is Rashi saying a big chiddush? Rashi saying, Eila Shuskir Lamaila, Shayoldi Yecheved LaAmram, who Aaron and Moshe. Like, hello, every child knows. By now, if a child doesn't know that Moshe and Aaron here are not Moshe from not Moshe from New Jersey and not Aaron from Starrett City, I mean, you're in trouble. I mean, the kid knows by now. Shouldn't the kid know that who Moshe Aaron Elish Huskir Lamaila Sheyoldi Yecheved LaAmram who Aaron and Moshe Sham? I mean, this is like, what is Rashi saying? B'chlal? What's B'chal Rashi telling us? And when we know that we know who they are and who's the mother.
Why would I think it's a different Moshe and Aaron?
Yeah, why would I think it's a different? And Taka the Medrash says Shkulim Zeh Kozeh. And Rashi says shkulim ke'echad. And but what's Taka the Pshat of Moshe Aaron the shkulim ke'echad? The Taka the same? Isn't very different. We said Moshe was born the Smala Abayis Kula Oira. The Mamish did the same. They're the same. They even looked the same. They weighed the same. They both was like 10 amas.
You mean the same mala?
L'chayr do different milas. Yeah, l'chayr, but the Chayr Baruch is also different milas. And then the Rashi continues in the next Rashi. Rashi says,
when Moshe Rabbeinu says, "I don't speak well, so how could I go?"
Right.
It starts from there.
Right.
Oh, so take your brother.
Heim, right. Heim amedabrim. Rashi says, Heim shenitztav heim shakimu. What's the chidush? Obviously, they should told them they should do it. What's bothering Rashi over here? Well, what's in the words? Versteht so? They should told them to do it. They did it. And then Rashi says, Hu Moshe v'Aaron. What's bothering Rashi? Rashi says, Heim b'shlechutzim etzitkotzim etchila v'atzav. What's bothering Rashi? What's the double oshon? Well, what's going on over here? Here, Bencha. Special for you. Amen. Okay. So here's the Rebbe's biur. Bencha, you came perfect timing.
Thank you. Good.
Amen. Here's the Rebbe's biur. What's the Rebbe's biur? It's like the simple. If you look at the pasuk, the truth is, it's such a pella. Sometimes you look it up. These two psukim that we're dealing with are two extra psukim. Mamish makes no sense. We want to go through Ruvain, his children, Shimon, his children, Levi, his children. Okay, very nice. Very nice. Everything's nice. Till Pinchas. What's coming now? Pasuk Chavav Chazayin to say. Who after that? Chavav Chazayin. Chavav Chazayin. Everything is done. We told you who was Reuben, who was Shimon, who was Levi, who was the children, who they married. Everything. In Pasuk Chafei it says, "Vatelud lo is Pinchas eila Roshei avois l'vim l'mishpachoisim." Finished. Period. Done. Now, okay. Ooh, Aaron and Moshe Shamar Hashem lahem. It says Bnei Yisrael Maretz Mitzrayim al Tzivoisim. Hey, ma medaber m'parim Melech Mitzrayim. Lo hitzes Bnei Yisrael Mitzrayim hu Moshe v'Aaron. Is this something that a child, even a child that's learning in pre-1A, in nursery by now, knows what's going on?
It didn't say in Pasuk Chavav
Who Aaron and Moshe?
And Pasuk
Chavzayin.
Moshe v'Aaron.
But besides the stida, what's bothering Rashi is the two psukim of Bachlal extra. What don't we know? We know there's a man, his name is Moshe. We know there's a man, his name is Aaron. We know it already. It's been mentioned from the beginning of Shmos of Eidah many times. Now, to summarize, the Torah told us the yichus of the Shvatim, Eile Rosh Beis Avosim, Bnei Reuven, Bnei Shimon, Bnei Levi. We went through the whole yichus of Mishpachas Levi. Great. And so obviously, and the name of Moshe Aaron is there in Pasuk.
What of them?
Chof. Yikach Amram es Yecheved Eidatsa Leishav Atel Lo is Aaron es Moshe. Finished. So I know. So we wanted to tell me the yichus. We wanted to tell you the yichus of Moshe Aaron. So we went through the first three shvatim. So we know what's Pasuk Chavav Chavzayin coming to tell us. Who Aaron and Moshe Shama Hashem Lamis of Nezram Zatzavosim Hema Medamar and Parim Nezram Nezral Mimitzarim. Every word here is extra. Every word here is extra. What don't we know till now that this pasuk is coming to tell us? It doesn't make sense. One word in the two psukim, two full psukim that make 0 sense. 0 sense. Two full psukim. We don't need these psukim. Is there a child by now that don't know who is Moshe Aaron? Is there a child by now that don't know that Moshe Aaron's parents is Amram and Yocheved? So what don't we know? Is there someone by now that don't know that these are the guys that Abisha told them that they should speak to Pari Melech Mitzrayim? What don't we know that the pasuk is spending two full psukim to tell us? What's going on over here? Rashi is coming to answer this. So Rashi is explaining like this. Rashi is saying like this. Who Moshe Aaron Elu Shuskuru Lamayl Sheyolda Yecheved LaAmram. What's Rashi saying? Said like Rashi. What's Rashi saying? Rashi saying like this. Sometimes a child has a special schus. From where? From the father. From where? From the mother. Sometimes you see children, they're very good kids. They have Midas Toivus and say, who's your father? Okay, now we understand. Oh, they have good role models, the father, the mother. So, now we understand. No, good parents. Well, that's good kinderlach. So the Torah wants to say a thing. The Torah wanted to say, where's their yichus come from? Where's their good character come from? So the Torah tells you like this. The Torah tells you, do you know anything about Yocheved? What does a child know by now about Yocheved? Some without Rashi. Pare called the Mialdus, Hashem Achra Shifra Hashem Hashem is poor. And he said, Bealdachem Asavrius, Verisam Alavnoim, in Benhu, Vamitanoisai. He wants that they should kill every boy. They're making an accident, don't worry. And don't worry, I'll reward you really nice for that.
Cover you are.
Yeah. So they're scared. They should be scared from Pare. Or whatever, they do his thing. What they do, and they didn't do his thing. Not only that, Faket. They went Evatechayena Esayelod. Mesapikus Lahem Moz. So not only did they not listen to Pare, but they went out of their way to help the babies. So, in other words, Yocheved is a woman, a very special woman. She has Mesiras Nefesh. Amram, what do we know about Amram? We don't know much about Amram. We know one thing. We know that Rashi tells us that she was getting, that the Gzeres of Pare were getting very rough. Pare said to kill the boys. Amram said, that's it. Why do I have to have children for? To have such things? He said, fine. He said, have a nice day, and he divorced his wife. Came his daughter Miriam, and she said to her father, Tati, your Gized is worse than Pare? He said, you know what? You're right. You're right. He went, he married his wife again. Everyone went, they married their wives again. So what do we see here again? A guy doesn't make sense. His wife is
there's no reason to have more children.
No way to have children. Nevertheless, he gets married, then he having more children. Mesiras Nefesh. Why should he go ahead?
That's a real
right. Why should he go have children when he's going to have such pain and such danger, which was what happened when she was born, that they're not going to know where to hide him, and they can take away the baby and kill the baby. He doesn't want to have children. That's it. Enough. That's it. He's not going to have any children, and that's it. Solve the problem. So now he goes, even though Be'etzim he wanted to divorce, and he didn't want to stay married. He wanted to divorce. He said, you know what? Mesiras Nefesh, he went and he remarried. So Yocheved has Mesiras Nefesh to defy Pari Melech Mitzrayim, and Amram has Mesiras Nefesh to go remarry his wife. And that's chus. We see a lot of times in previous parshas that there's chus to certain parents. There was to have good children. So that Rashi is explaining that what's going on over here, that the Torah is saying, who? Aaron and Moshe. This is the Aaron and Moshe. That what's chus that these two have, that they were charged with the mission to take out the Yidden Mitzrayim, because they were children of Amram. They were children of Yocheved. And Memesis we already have. The Torah says, "Vayiki Yorelakim Vayaslam Botim, Botikuna, Botelevia," that because they had such Mesiras Nefesh to save Jewish children, the Eibusha said, "You had Mesiras Nefesh for my children. I will give that your children will be Botikuna, Botelevia." So that's what the Torah is saying. The Torah is saying, "Who? Aaron and Moshe? What's this chus?" Now that I know that the psukim that are here are not here to tell me genealogy. It's not here to tell me about the Shvatim and who married who or what. We're just trying to tell you the yichus of Moshe and Aaron that they had. Why were they zeich to get the shlichus? Because they were children of Amram and Miriam. So now that's the shaila. Who's more in this shlichus? Who's more important? Moshe. So in this shlichus, this is more important. So whose name should should be first? Moshe's name should be. And you see, Miriam is not even mentioned here. So we're talking about that we're not talking genealogy now, because if we're talking we're talking the two people that have the schus to have the Eibusher shlichus to take out the Yidden Mitzrayim, to be shlich Eibusher, you have to have a big schus. So who has the schus? Moshe v'Aaron. Who has the bigger schus between the two? Moshe Rabbeinu l'chayda, right? So why should Moshe Rabbeinu's name be mentioned first in both places? Right? Why does it say who Aaron? Why shouldn't it say who Moshe? And also even before in Pasuk Chav, when it says if he wanted to tell you genealogy, or tell you a tale is Miriam also. Here we're just telling you the yichus of Moshe and Aaron because they were sent to Paro to take out the Eden from Mitzrayim. So if we're talking about the Iker, not trying to give you the yichus of Mishpochas, but the yichus of Moshe and Aaron because they're going to Paro. So tell me first the name of Moshe. So this is what's bothering Rashi. Now that we told that Rashi said that the Hemshech Psukim here, and that is who Aaron and Moshe. You want to know why did the Eibishter give the shlichus dafka to these two? Because they're children of Asher Yolda Yocheved LaAmram. Yocheved has a big schus of Mesiris Nefesh, and Amram has a big schus. So therefore, there was Zeicha, their children got the shlichus. Okay, so Ebazoish should say Moshe first. So that's what's bothering Rashi, and that's what it says Yesh Mekoimos Shemagdim Aaron LaMoshe. Two Mekoimos in the year itself. You already have here two Mekoimos in Pasuk Chav and in Pasuk Chavav that it should really say Moshe first, because we're not talking now genealogy. We're talking about the Yichus Mitzad. Why would they Zoicha to get the Shliach, special Shlichus? So it should say Moshe first, and yet in Pasuk Chav and Pasuk Chav Avav it says Aaron first. So Yesh Mekoimos Shemagdim Aaron, Yesh Mekoimos Shemagdim Moshe. Now the second Yesh Mekoimos, there's 300 places in the whole Torah Shabbat. That's not hard to find. The second, the Yesh Mekoimos, that Moshe comes first, no problem. You know, and it's all over the place. Yeah. So now we have a Yesh Mekoimos, V'Yesh Mekoimos, because Rashi holds that you can't take it for granted in these two psukim that we just had in Chav Chavav that Aaron says first because that's the Derech HaTorah. It's true it mentioned Miriam there. But we're not mentioning Miriam because we're not talking now about genealogy. We're talking about who was Eicha to get the Shlichus to go to Pari. So who is more important? Moshe. So why did it say Aaron first twice? To teach you something. What does it come to teach you? Loy malach, sheshkulim ki achet. The Rashi doesn't want to say sheshavim zeh kazeh. It's not true. To say shavim zeh kazeh, Moshe and Aaron Hashav, it's not true. Moshe has his specialty, Aaron has his specialty. Aaron never complains. Moshe is always complaining. Aaron doesn't complain. And Moshe says that my brother will be jealous that I was Oila L'Gdula. David says, don't worry, not the way you think that he's going to be jealous. He's not going to be jealous. He's going to be besimcha to see that you are Oila L'Gdula.
He did it instead of Aaron.
So good. I'm saying, so we see that Moshe is not the same like Aaron. And Moshe had a different role. Aaron had a different Elamai. They're not shoving zukazu. Sheshkulim ke'achas, and this shlichus that the Eibush they gave to go to mitzad the shlichus to go to Paro, they were one. Mitzad the shlichus.
I have a problem with Yocheved and Alma.
Yeah.
It said that he married his aunt.
Yeah.
She has to be much older than him.
Okay, so
somebody married.
It's a miracle that they had children at this age, at 100 years.
It's a double miracle.
Right. Yeah, for sure. A big miracle. Okay, let's continue. So, what is next? Rashi. Hema medabrin. Next pasuk it says Hema medabrin al pari melech Mitzrayim. Again, what's the chiddush in this pasuk? Hema medabrin. We know this. It's the hemshech.
Here already say Moshe about.
Here it takes it right. What's Hema medabrin? Rashi says just like their parents had Mesiris Nefesh, Hemshin Itztavu, Hemshakimu. L'chayda would say maybe they should be scared. Paro is not a sweet teddy bear. Moshe already was mesuchsach with Paro already, right? Tzileni mechere Paro.
It's supposed to actually say Hu Medaber. It's not Hema Medaber.
Hema says Moshe also spoke a little bit. Talamai, Aaron used to. Not so clear. It sounds like he started to speak and then Aaron would continue. So Heim Shenitztava Heim Shekimu. They were Mekayim. They were Mekayim. They were Mekayim. Then Rashi says, "Who Moshe ve'Aaron?" What's the chiddush? Who Moshe ve'Aaron? To tell you that Shakel, we already said, there's Torah Shabbat says there's at least 100 places where it says Moshe before Aaron. But why in this pasuk to say Bechlal? Never mind why Moshe comes on Aaron before Moshe. Again, who Moshe? What's who Moshe ve'Aaron? So Rashi says, Heim b'shlichusam u'b'tzidkosam metchila v'atzoif. That even though each one has a mitzad, their avodah was different. That's what Rashi changes from the pasuk. The pasuk says Hu Moshe, and Rashi says Heim. It's kilu. The pasuk says Hu Moshe v'Hu Aharon. In the first place, where it says Hu Aaron and Moshe, it's take, it's who. It's one thing. They were equal in the mitzad the Eibishter that he gave them a shlichus. It's who. What's one shlichus? Half the job is Moshe, half the job is Aaron. But mitzad them, Moshe and Aaron, each one did this thing. Hu Moshe v'Hu Aaron. That's where Rashi changes from. He doesn't say Hu b'shlichusoi b'tzidkusoi, because they're two different people, and it's kilu really the Torah is mekatze. Really, the kilu the Torah wanted to say Hu Moshe v'Hu Aaron. So Rashi says Heim b'shlichusam b'tzidkusam etchilu v'atzoif, but in a different way.
I want to say, even though they each one has his own list, when it comes to shlichus, it's they all one.
They work together.
Yes.
So Rashi said that what the way Rebbe is saying is that mitzad the Eibishter they had one shlichus. Mitzad the Eibishter there was one shlichus. And mitzad them, so each one had his mila, his Indian. Everyone had their thing.
When Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu go to Pharaoh, he said, "I'm haratz katayim." So he told him, "Aaron hu yedaber." So we know that all the makot and all the time when they went to Pharaoh, Aaron spoke. Not
Yeah, I hear. Someone just mentioned that, but it a little bit sounds because could be.
This is the reason.
Because later it says I mean, it makes no difference. Start the Sicha right here, but right after this it says, she says, Meturgemanach.
Because you are Ratzvatayim, so he will be that will speak.
But I understand. But whenever you have a Meturgeman, it doesn't mean that the Ravs in the days of Chazal, when you had a Turgeman worked that the Rav spoke quietly, and the Turgeman raised his voice. The Turgeman was like the microphone.
Exactly.
Yeah, the microphone. But they didn't have a microphone, and the Turgeman could speak loud. In order to be a Turgeman, you needed to have a
good voice.
A voice, a good voice. So Moshe, it sounds like, said the words that Abisha told him to Aaron, and Aaron said it loud to Paro. Yeah. Yeah.
If the Torah and Rashi is going to teach us that Aaron had a certain job and Moshe had a certain job.
No, this we know that they have a job.
Yeah.
They want to tell us that the Torah wants to tell us, number one, why would they zoicha to get this job? Because they had such parents. Because they had such unbelievable parents. Because Miriam had Mesiris Nefesh to give birth to these children and take care of them. That's what zoicha to have such good kids.
The Torah mentions that after Aaron, the Eliezer and Pinchas, whatever, what happened to Moshe's children? How come they didn't get anything?
They don't get mentioned there?
You see, you don't hear about them afterwards.
They're in Divrei Hayamim.
They're mentioned Divrei Hamamim. How come they're not mentioned here?
Huh?
How come they're not mentioned here?
Well, nothing came of them really. They wanted to. They were just.
Okay. Here, it's a good question.
It says
Lapal, they were not born in Mitzrayim, so there was a little difference between them and everyone else. The Torah is not in here to tell you the genealogy, as we said. The Torah is in to tell you the yichus of Moshe and Aaron. Agav Urcha, a lot of the things that are said here later have a bearing on, for example, we're saying how old Levi was and how old was Levi
Amram.
and Amram, right? Shnei Chai Amram. So Rashi says that why a random piece of information, how old was Levi?
Amram was 137.
So Rashi says it's to help you make the calculation of how long the Eden were in Mitzrayim. Same thing later. All this information about, because Pinchas was born before they was to become Kohanim, that's why Pinchas was not a Kohen. All the information here, the side information, all is going to become later relevant, but it's not coming to tell you the mishpachos, because this is told elsewhere in the Torah. So that's why probably there's nothing to learn. There's nothing special to learn out of the fact that he has 2 children.
Why have to be such a way that Moshe cannot talk to Paro? You have to go Moshe to Aaron, Aaron to Paro. It's such a tzaddik, he can't talk to such a Rosh. Like, there's a clip I saw that Moshe is so tzaddik, he's so pure, he can't talk to such a low life.
Yeah.
Have to go to Aaron.
I heard once a beautiful word. I didn't see it inside. But I remember Rabbi Weinberg once. Remember Rabbi Yosel Weinberg? I remember him saying it in 770. He said it in the name, I think, of Ramban, but I never saw it inside. He said that Moshe Rabbeinu needed to be Aral Sasayim. Why? Because if Moshe Rabbeinu was an orator, he spoke, everyone say they sold a boat. He sold the Jews the 10 Commandments. He could have sold them the Brooklyn Bridge too. He could have sold them that plus the Empire State Building. So that's what Eivish made, that Moshe was Aral Sfasayim. He couldn't sell you a toothpick.
It wasn't Gil Conn.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Moshe Rabbeinu raised in a house of Moshe Rabbeinu raised in a house of Moshe Rabbeinu should be raised in the house of Moshe Feinstein for why he was raising in the house to teach him.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But when you see maybe that because when Yisro came, that he sent them away
Who, Yisro?
at the end.
Oh, Moshe sent Yisro away.
Yeah, he gives as a father, he gives an advice, and then he sent them away.
That's it, exactly. Because he gave him too much advice.
Yeah.
I heard from my father, it says that when Israel came, Moshe says, who came? So he says, your wife and the children. He said, with the sugar. He said, she didn't come. He said, come to the hall to eat. He invite him to eat.
Yeah.
I heard today that Yitro was minister in Pharaoh's house.
Right.
So when they took Moshe Rabbeinu and put fire there, and Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to go to the crown of Pharaoh, Yitro was the one that moved it to the end of the fire.
Wasn't it a malach?
Yeah,
No.
I heard it's
Moshe did took the crown from Paro and put it on his head.
right.
And the Paro, what is it called? Advisor says, this little kid is not a regular kid. If he did it to you, that means he's the one that take the melacha. So let's make a test. And
Right.
make a test, and the malach came and moved his hand.
I heard it's Yitro.
No, the middle says the malach.
No, there's another thing about Yisro. The question was that there's a medrash that Pari had Chartumim, had big advisors,
It's stagnating.
and Bilam said to kill the Jews,
It was quiet.
and Yisro was quiet.
That's the problem. Shtiku koridor.
Right? Huh? Right. But something like that. There was could be. I don't know. Maybe there's another medrash.
Pari was zocher to it with his son.
Yeah, I said Kishoshana ben Achuchim.
Yeah,
Moshe Rabbeinu
exactly.
know how to take the flour from the top. Very nice.
In the Chassidus, it says who Aaron and Moshe, and sometimes it says who Moshe and Aaron. Chassidus says what's the who? Who Moshe and Aaron? Who Lashon Yochid? Who Moshe and Aaron? That's the same Lamed Sheshkulam name.
Him.
Who? It's the Haim, yeah. So what's the who? Sometimes it says who Moshe and Aaron, and sometimes it says who Aaron and Moshe.
That's a good one.
So he says, because it says twice, Hashem hu Elokim. It says Ata Reis Eladas ki Hashem hu Elokim ein malvadei, and then it says further in the parsha, Ve'aidaitem v'shavayis elavecha ki Hashem hu Elokim. And Moshe and Aaron, we each teaching, it says that Moshe and Aaron is Sheshvina the Malka, Sheshvina the Matranissa, just like when you go to a chuppah, the parents hold that. So Moshe was bringing the Chosim, which is the Eibishter close to the Eden, and Aaron is bringing the Kala, which is Eden close to the Eibishter. But so they both had the job of teaching the Eden that you should know Hashem, who Ha'elakim, who Moshe ve'Aaron, who Aaron and Moshe. There's two ways of teaching it. One is, and this will go into another time. We'll go into. There's two ways of learning it. Atar Reis Aladas. There's one chiddush in the pasuk. Atar Reis Aladas Kashem Olakim. One is Vaydatim Mishaves Ladach Kashem Olakim. And Moshe and Aaron, their job was to teach the Yidden who. It's like that who Hashem Olakim was taught through Moshe and Aaron and through Aaron and Moshe. And a certain thing there's a mile of Moshe, and certain things a mile of Aaron.
Like the clear sense of the children says, Zeh. The mother
Right.
is well, Zeh.
There. Zeh Kelim Embe. Mari Ladvorim is Zeh.
Aha, that's the word. All right, any chance we have a minion?
Exactly the 15 minutes ago.
Who?
He texted the WhatsApp group and the text for 15 minutes ago.
Okay, good. So we'll have him at Hashem. Oh, we only need two? Oh, good.
You mentioned before that first of all, Amnon was a Kain, right? This is lady. That's why you were out to marry your nephew, right?
Didn't start yet. The mitzvah of Levi and Kohuna didn't start yet.
So somebody else, why did he help you about that?
Oh,
The Pashas use a lot of it's for Matan Torah.
But he wasn't the Kain. He left that
Yeah, no one was a Kohen yet. No one was a Kohen, no one was a Levi.
at the other
oh,
family sometimes, the father is. So see that Adam came from a good family, and Rivka came from his family.
Right.
So how did that happen? He say there's a combination of nurture and nature. So either it could be both or either or.
oh, yeah.
Either the kid is influenced by the environment, which is the nurture.
Amos. Big tzaddikim sometimes have children that are Esavs.
The Alter Rebbe write on Tanya that Neshama is coming from, sometimes you see
Yeah, or the Blapom, or the Nishmas, or whatever, big Neshama is, or the B'nai Shel Adam Bozu, V'shafa. Yeah, you're right. But that's like a Yoitzim in a cloud.
But sometimes you see a person that when you see something there that finds it needs, he doesn't like it. So that's in the nature. So maybe she didn't like what her father was saying, but Lotta was doing,
But that cloud there is, and it's also lost in the Mishnah and Adius. Hav Zech Leben, and the Mishnah says, it's totally in the Hav Zech Leben, and Batanur it says, Shekorev Teva Ben Li Daimel Teva Av. That the nature of a child is close to the nature of the parents.
somebody's coming.
And we see that Rashi says that it says Vayiki Yoralakim Vayatzalam bottom. The Eibishter said that because they had Yiras Shemayim, Shifra Pure, Yiras Shemayim, they didn't kill the babies. That's what the Eibishter rewarded them with Kuhn and Leviah.
Jewish.
Well, they were Bnei Yisrael at Simon. Yeah. But they weren't. They got the gift. They didn't become Kohanim and Leviim until after Matan Torah. David, thank you for joining us.